Buongiorno traders, how are we? Welcome to the live stream. Trader Tom here. Hope you are all well. Guys, we have had a couple of days where we're just sitting on our hands. But we're still going to look at the trades that I'm currently looking at right now. We're also going to take all of your questions, right? So don't be shy, guys. Come and ask as many questions as you like. And remember, it can be to do with anything to do with trading, right? So it doesn't have to be about a currency pair. It can be about anything you like. I also want to show you something quite peculiar that has just happened. Not my dress sense, but something that's just happened in the market. All right, guys. So we're actually going to start there. But please get all of your questions in, guys, because like I say, it's been a couple of days where there's so much big news, right? You had the Fed yesterday, you had the Swiss franc interest rate today, you had the pound interest rate, which has just happened. So when you have these big news days, right, it's just a case of, you know, sitting on your hands and doing sweet FA, really. So let me show you the peculiar thing, right? So if we go to the news now, right, and we go and we look at the interest rate decision, right? So let's firstly look at the Swiss franc, right? So that was 0% and it was 0% as expected. Okay, so it wasn't a big reaction there, guys. But with the pound, right, so how you kind of gauge a currency strength is by the interest rate. You know, very generally speaking, the lower the interest rate, the less expensive the currency, right? So here, guys, you can see that the Bank of England kept the interest rate the same at 4.25%, as they normally do with these figures, right? They're rarely a miss, right? And we had the forecast of, actually, let's look at this one. So of a rate cut for the next meeting, right, was going to be 2, right? But it was actually 3. So one more member voted for a rate cut. They wanted to reduce this 4.25% figure, right? They wanted to lower the interest rate. So that would typically be bearish for the pound, right? But it just isn't. And what's happened, guys, is that we've seen a very strong pound. If we go to the charts now, right, we are currently seeing a very strong pound. So that is the peculiar thing I wanted to show you. Yeah, pound US dollar, everything is just looking bullish, right, with the pound on the back of that, you know, worse than expected vote for a rate cut. So there you go, guys. Wasn't that peculiar? You're probably thinking, Tom, why have you told me all that? But it's, you know, it's important that you understand how the news reacts, right? And it's reacted indifferently. It should have reacted differently, but it isn't. We're seeing a strong pound. Anyway, let's just, because like I say, guys, I was looking at a couple of pound pairs, right? So if we look at the day chart, obviously I didn't enter these trades until the interest rate decision, but I was looking for potential sells on pound Aussie dollar, right? This is the day chart. We're in a downtrend. Yesterday's candle was super bearish and had broken these lows, right? We was looking to do this, and it was the same with pound New Zealand dollar, right? It's pretty, you know, identical trades pretty much, right? But we was in a downtrend, lower highs, lower lows, okay? Nice big bearish candle. We were looking to take this lower, but again, we had to wait for the interest rate decision and then just look at that reaction, right? I'm not touching that with a barge pole, if you know that saying, right? So there you go, guys, right? So there's no trades for me to talk about in terms of trades that I'm looking at. So what the devil are you looking at? So let's just get stuck straight in. And also, guys, actually, before we get stuck straight in, a lot of the news, you know, like the currency pair, there's been a lot of ignoring the news. Like we've been having a lot of bad US dollar data, and the US dollar has been strong. We've just had some worse than expected pound data, and the pound has just completely ignored it, right? So, you know, there's bigger things in play than just those data news releases that we see, right? Right, let's see who is in the house. Who we got here? Bappo Ataco. I love that name. How do you feel about Elliott wave theory? I understand a little bit about Elliott wave theory, as in, you know, the market moves in 5 waves of structure. I think it's 5, but all Elliott wave theory is really price action, right? It's looking at structure on a chart, and once structure starts to slow down and break, we can take the trade in the other direction. So Elliott wave theory is just basically simple price action to me. That's how I see it. And that's all you need to focus on, guys. And I'm glad you brought it up, Bappo Ataco. I've just got to mention that name again. I love it. It goes for any of these theories, right? You know, you hear of, oh, have you done smart money concepts? Have you heard of Elliott wave theory? How do you feel about Ichimoku clouds? The same way I feel about all of them is if you can get them to work and you are profitable and make money, use them, right? But my point is that you don't need them, right? Everything you need to know on a chart is there, and it comes in 4 things. In fact, let's write these 4 things down. Everything you need to know on a chart are these 4 things. You don't need to know anything else. Excuse my writing. I'm using a mouse pen, and therefore it looks like a 3-year-old is writing. I'm not. It's not my daughter writing this. Right. Anyway, so trend, right? Support and resistance. I'm quite impressed with my own writing with the mouse pen thus far. Candlesticks. I'm not going to write out candlesticks. It's too long. I'm just going to put candles, right? And number 4, right, is value, right? So these 4 things represent price action. So if you know how to read trend, marvelous, right? If you know how to accurately plot support and resistance levels, marvelous. If you know how to read candlesticks, you know, as in basically you need to decide who's in control, buyers or sellers, right, using candlesticks, then great, right? And then the 4th thing is value, right? Are you trading from an area of value? Basically, we don't want things to be overbought or overextended, right? So basically, we wait for retraces. Let me just give you a very crude example of what I mean, right? Just to represent value. If we're trading an uptrend, right? Okay. Do you want to start buying there? Okay, you might do, right? So it depends on what your strategy is. Or do you want to wait for a retrace and start buying in here? That is a very simple explanation of value. This is where I want to trade from in here. This represents value, which is why I wait for a retrace with a lot of my trades. And this doesn't represent value, right? So they're the only 4 things you need. And I can explain Elliott wave theory using trend alone, right? So just focus on those 4 things. Each one of those things are factual, right? They're not, you know, they're not lagging. They're not what I think of the market. You know, like a lot of people would be like, right, pound US dollar, next month's interest rate decision will be, you know, more bearish. So I'm, you know, bearish pound, or, you know, I don't have any of that going around in my head. I don't try and, you know, anticipate. I don't predict what the market's going to do, right? You shouldn't either, right? It can do whatever the hell it likes. It's the most unpredictable thing in the world, right? But what you can do is collate information, collate facts. I have to do this with my hands because that demonstrates collation of information. Using a lot of long words today, don't ask me to spell any of these, right? But I collate all the information focused on these four things, and then I make an informed decision with the facts that I have. Right, and I hope everyone's going, oh yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, because of course it does, right? It's the only way to trade, So yeah, and the real skill comes in. So got to be careful how I phrase this, guys. Right, trading for me is an art, right? More than a science, right? Others would differ, right? You get traders that are very mathematically led, statistically led, and you get other traders who are more scientific, and then you have traders that are more artistic, right? And I would describe myself as, I see this as a craft, less scientific, right? And my craft is identifying trend, identifying support and resistance in terms of where can the market react. Can I read candles, right? That's a craft, it's a skill. And pinpointing areas of value where I see the market can retrace into, right? Then once you have those things, right, that there are some other skills you need, right? You need to be able to do that across multiple time frames. Because as you know, guys, I do a top-down approach. I look at weekly and daily, and then I'm entering on the H4 and or the H1. But on every single one of those time frames, I am applying exactly the same logic and fact-based view of the market. I've got very serious very quickly today, but it just makes absolute sense to me that that's how people should trade, right? So yeah, there you go, guys. You know, there are other skills that you need, right? You need to be able to manage trades, right? There's one thing understanding the facts and pinpointing entries, etc. But you also need to manage trades, right? When to cut trades early, when to add to winning positions. Things like this are also other skills you need to develop, right? Hedging is something else that I use as well. I know some of you are interested in that, some of you are not. That's fine. That's not for everyone. But really, everything and every decision I make boils down to these four things. All right. So yeah, there you go. There's a very long-winded way, Bappo Attacco, that's how I feel about Elliott Wave, right? It can all be explained, right? So there you go. Right, Lucky Gupta. Hey man, hope you're doing well. Gold analysis on short term. Okay, Lucky, we'll take a look at gold. Afternoon, Brett. Aussie Trev. Hey, PJ. Brett's asking for another impression. Okay, I'm going to do Sean Connery, right? Remember the James Bond, famous Sean Connery. So here we go. I got my sprocket on my spanner and I support Sheffield Wednesday. Sorry, that was my Sean Connery impression. For Pello, how are you? Michael, how are you? The electrician is back in. Okay, and we found out that electrician is an electrician. Aussie Trev, how much weight do you put on price action patterns like head and shoulders? Right, good question, Aussie Trev, right? I like this question. I can get my teeth into this question. So let's find some patterns. You won't have to look far to find one, right? So here you go. This I've looked no further than 3 seconds. Okay. Now right here we see a pattern. Right. Let me explain this pattern. So first of all, does anyone know what this pattern is that I'm looking at? Right. So what's that pattern, guys? Anyone who's looked at patterns online, there's thousands of them. There was one pattern called the Quasimodo pattern. I thought I'd seen everything on the internet, but that was taking the biscuit. Jesus Christ. The Quasimodo pattern. I feel like getting that YouTuber, tracking them down, turning up at their house, shaking them by the shoulders and saying, what are you talking about? But I won't do that. So what's the pattern I'm looking at right now, guys? So everyone, just quickly answer this pattern. What am I looking at right now? Any answers? There you go. Right? Aussie Trev, double top, PJ, double top. Okay. So exactly that. We're seeing a double top pattern. Hits one top, double top, and then to confirm the double top pattern, it needs to break the low. Right? I also do a Chris Eubank impression, but I won't do that. We'll save that for the next live stream. Anyway, back to, it helps if I've had a few beers. Then my impressions get, magnified. Anyway, that is a double top pattern. So my point is, it does not matter if you know that is a double top pattern or you don't. It is irrelevant. All I care about is this. We're in an uptrend. We're in an uptrend, right? Okay. I now see with this big red candle here that buyers are slowing down and sellers are taking control, right? But the next point that is the only point that I care about. And that is once we get a break of that low right there. Because as soon as we get a break of that low, that is when we have a structure break. So we come down, as soon as we come down and we have this big red candle here, we have broken this low and we are in a downtrend, right? I will be looking for a retrace back into the level it broke. And look what happens, the price reacts at that level and comes back down. And it doesn't matter if I know that is a double top, right? It just doesn't matter. Like I said, the four things that I said was trend, right? I know that's in a downtrend when it breaks that level, right? So let's look at this, right? So let's go with this trade, right? So let's break this down. Let's say, okay, so let's say we got to here, right? And then price retraced into here. Okay, so if you think about the things I just explained. So this would be a nice sell trade, right? So one was trend. We are in a downtrend. Number two, we have retraced to a nice area of support and resistance, right? In this case, resistance. Not only do we have this horizontal resistance level, we also have the moving average 20. Right, so that is double whammy resistance. So support and resistance, very much a tick. Number three, the candlestick. Okay, we've got this. It's not super bearish, right? This red candle right here. It's not super bearish. We'll give that half a point, right? And then number four was value, right? So has it retraced into an area of value? As in, and a good way of understanding value is where is it in relation to the moving average 20? If we're trading in and around the moving average 20, chances are we have value. Another way to think of value is, does it have room to move into? Right? Yes, it does. Look, we can take it all the way down to here. Right? Tick. So I know this is a hindsight trade, and I there's nothing worse than hindsight trading, but I'm just wanting to iterate this point that patterns don't matter and four things do, right? So this, out of these four things, it ticks like, out of the four, we've got like 3.5 out of the 4, right? And that is good enough, right? And you would have had, a good trade. I don't trade the day chart. I would have looked at the H4, etc. But you get the point, right? So don't overcomplicate it, guys, right? You can look at all sorts of things if you want. You can look at, Elliott wave theory, like I say, Ichimoku candles. You can look at smart money concepts. You can look at fair value gaps. You can look at, you know, what's another crazy indicator that I've loved the name of? You can look at Quasimodo candlestick patterns. My God, it all doesn't matter. Price action and those four things is what is all the information you need to make a good trade and make a good decision, should I say. I feel like I'm ranting a lot at the moment on this live stream, so I do apologize, guys. HD, hi, how are you? PJ, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, potential buy. Yes, I was looking at this a little bit myself. We'll take a look at this right now, PJ. Before I do, guys, if I could please ask everyone to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, please smash the like button and please don't forget to smash the notification button as well. I've done that in completely the wrong order. But yeah, smash all of those buttons. Smashing plates, if you like. What the hell? Also, guys, please do not forget to join our trading community, right? We have traders in there. You know, trading can be quite a lonely pursuit, right? So come join our community, chat with other traders, share your trade ideas, you know, benefit of other people's knowledge. Please come join our free Discord channel, right? And all you need to do is hit that QR code that's on the screen, right? And if you come join our free Discord channel, which is free, hence the name, we will also give you 50% off our complete Simply Forex trading course. No brainer, come join it. Also, guys, if you want access to all of our premium education, including the course, including my mentorship program where I coach you one-on-one, and our VIP Trading Academy, then please don't forget to check out our website, www.simply-forex.com. And as you can see, it is right there on my screen. Voila, in French. Speak many languages. Right, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollars. So yeah, we've had a nice H4 structure break today. The only thing I have to bring that across. Right, that's the only thing, PJ, right? So I hear you, right? Now, so we have to go back. So, because this is an important point here, right? Now, at this point here, we are in a downtrend, and then we've just got sideways action, right? But we're in a downtrend, lower highs, lower lows. Okay, so at the start of the day, if I looked at Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, all I would see is a very bullish candle, but it's hitting into resistance. So from a daily perspective, this wouldn't make my, I put my trade ideas down. This wouldn't make my trade ideas for today, right? Because of that reason. Now, as the day has gone on, it has become an attractive trade, and this will happen, right, sometimes, okay? So if we go down to the H4 now, okay, it's just totally neglected the Back to the Future button. Here is that sideways action we were seeing on the daily chart, okay? And on the H4, it's clearly broken out of that level, right? Now, I like it from a H4 point of view, right? But even saying that, we have hit, you know, you can see in here that this is quite an important level of support and resistance in here. And we've hit that. So we can expect a retrace. Now, once price gets back to these, let's even put this level in so you can clearly see it. Once price gets back to this level of what was once resistance becomes support, then okay, I might be interested then. I want to see what price does at this level. But, you know, this is the H4 chart. Let's say that takes, you know, another 2 lots of 4-hour candles. That's 8 hours. I will be firmly in bed, tucked up, you know, snoring, dribbling, thinking about Gal Gadot. Okay, so will this be a trade for me today? Probably not. And then all I'll do, PJ, is come back and reassess it tomorrow. I'll come and look at the day chart. I'll say to myself, right, if the day candle finishes like this, let's say it does, do I like this for a upward trade? Yeah, I still do, right? But again, because we've broken these highs. So this might be a trade for me tomorrow, right? But I will still be looking for the same thing on the H4 tomorrow, okay? If we go back to the H4, I'll still be looking for a retrace into here. Nice bullish reaction, moving average 20 catches up. And then this will be my target. So yeah, I agree with you, PJ, but I think this will, you know, by the time it manifests into potentially a trade, it will be tomorrow. So we shall see, because obviously we don't want to start buying it now. This is, you know, doesn't get more bearish than that, to be quite honest. So there you go, PJ, but I hear you. Dre Bliss, can we have a look at EuroCAD? Okay, so we've got a few people now. Right, so we've got loads of comments coming in now, guys. Right, so let's go back up here, because there was a person. I never know if a lot of these people, unless your name is like Dave or Mike, right? Then, or, you know, Aussie Trev, right? I know you're a man, but Lucky Gupta, I don't know if you're a man or a woman. So I have to say they, right? You know, got to be very PC these days. But anyway, you did ask about gold in the short term. All right, so let's take a quick look at gold. People love to trade gold. I think a lot of people like magpies. They're attracted to bright things. So when you say short term, right? Okay, right. So daily chart, right? If you said, Tom, you had to trade this in the next couple of days, which is very short term, I would buy gold, right? It's in a beautiful area. You can even draw a really nice trend line through all of this. Look at that. That is a beauty, right? Look at that trend line. That is like, you know, the trend lines you see in a textbook. Honestly, this piece of price action is like it's been taken from a textbook, right? Higher highs, retrace to the trend line, higher highs, retrace to the trend line, higher highs, retrace to the trend line. Price action rarely looks like that. So that, just looking at that, if you said, Tom, short term, what would you do? I would buy gold, right? You've also got the moving average 20 coming in here. It's looking like a really good area to take gold back up to these highs here, right? A couple of days ago, 3 days ago, we know this is a key resistance level, right? And we've pushed price down, but now we're down to here. It's looking like potentially a nice trade, right? So I would buy gold US dollar based on trend again and this trend line, right? Which is basically support and resistance, right? So, you know, I put number 2 support and resistance. That's trend lines, moving average 20, and horizontal support and resistance levels, right? So I would buy it, but I need something to tell me to buy, right? So if we drop down to the H4, what would I want to see? Okay, so if you was feeling super aggressive, right, you could trade off of this H4 candle, right? If you wanted to be uber aggressive, but I wouldn't recommend doing that. I want to see some kind of build up in structure, right? So if we look at the H4, right, if we just start up here, this is where we're at, really, right? So we're starting to see lower highs, right? So I want to see something like this. Maybe we do get a bit of a bounce off this level. Maybe it comes back down and tests these lows again. We get a double bottom this time, and then we get a break, right? Something like this. Then I think we've got a very nice gold buy trade on our hands. And another thing I wanted, which is interesting, guys, I find these things interesting. You might be like, that's not interesting. but is your perspective, your time frame gives you your perspective, right? So, so if I ask a trader, what do you trade? They'll be like, look, I trade currencies typically off the H4, right? Or I trade currencies, I mainly scalp the 15-minute. That's very generally how you would describe your strategy, right? Now, you always mention time frame because it's so important, right? That's your perspective of the market. Now, if I'm trading the H4, as I just explained, I want to see a H4 uptrend, right? And I could wait a very long time for this, right? Imagine we have to wait for this to do this, then to do this, then to get back up to here, fart around for a little bit, and then break, right? That's going to take a couple of days, I would say, right? Whereas if you change your perspective, change your time frame, and we look at the hourly chart, you could have a trade by the end of today, right? We've got a trend line coming down here, right? You can see that, right? We've got these last highs, right? And when the New York opens properly, right, it wouldn't be out of this world if we saw price do that, right, and break this last high. So on the H1, you could have a trade in a few hours, right? So I talk about this because you said your analysis on gold on the short term, and I really need to know what time frame you trade, right? What's your strategy? What time frame do you trade? So depending on the time frame and what you trade, you could have a trade in a few hours, you could have a trade in a couple of days, right? It really depends on your own entry time frame and therefore your own perspective. I mean, guys, I typically trade H4, but I do trade H1 now and again if I want to be aggressive with the entry. If, for example, I really like the level, right, and there's so much value in the trade, right, then I might be a little bit more aggressive, right? Things like that come into play. Yeah, so there you go, Lucky Gupta. And let's just go back to that day chart. Let's all just take a minute to look at how perfect that structure is on gold. Just take a second. Yeah, I might even get that printed out and put in a small picture and put it on my mantelpiece. I don't have a mantelpiece. Right, guys, a little bit off tangent. Right, what else are we looking at? Let's say hello to a few more people who have just turned up. LMS, how are you? Lee James, hi mate, how are you? Right. Okay. Now, Brett has got a question. Actually, sorry, Dre Bliss, you were first. Euro, Canadian dollar. Let's take a quick look at that. Right, where are we? So, okay, let's. There's a lot I want to say about this, right? But let's look at the weekly chart, and let's do this all together again, right? Let's do this together as one big happy family. So, looking at the weekly chart, I can even zoom out a little bit, right? Because I want to show you, right, these last highs over here. Excuse my mouse drawing. There we go. I haven't had my liter of vodka today. So let's do it all together, right? Let's analyze this together and let's make sense of it as well, right? Also, hi, Lily. Hi, Lee. Yeah, right. Okay, I've said hello to everyone. Right. Everyone get involved, guys. You know the name of the game. Would you buy, sell, or stay out of this market? So if everyone gets involved, we're going to look at the weekly chart, Euro, Canadian dollar. Everyone now, would you buy, sell, or stay out of this market? Hi, Carla. Carla, where have you been? Hi, how are you? Okay, so I've got some more questions here from Electrician and LMS. We'll get to those as well, guys, very soon. Let's just analyze this bad boy together. So Brett is saying uptrend, stay out. Aussie Trev, sell. PJ, stay out. Dre Bliss would buy. Lily would buy. Kibria would stay out because it's strong resistance. Electrician would stay out. Anyway, I'm going to have a quick drink, guys, while your answers flood in. Okay. So there's enough answers, guys, right? So we've got buys or stay out, right? No one is selling, which is interesting, right? Okay, so I have to agree, right? It has to, I say I have to agree. I have to agree. Well, again, I'm very fearful of giving opinion, right? Because opinions, and so how do I need to phrase this, right? Opinions are worthless unless they're built on fact, right? You know, I could say like, you know, I don't like, who don't I like? I really don't like Noel Edmonds. His face just annoys the crap out of me, right? Those of you who don't know Noel Edmonds is, type him in, look at his face, right? He's a very old, like British broadcasting guy. Anyway, I've just have a real, you know, passion about not liking that man. Anyway, but that's my opinion, right? You might like Noel Edmonds, right? But the facts are, right, he does a lot of great work for charity. He's a really nice guy. You know, his wife loves him and so do his children. So my opinion is not built on facts, right? So it's pointless. So I'm just going to give you the facts, right? We are in an uptrend. Fact, right? Higher lows, and these highs have stopped making higher highs. That's also a fact, right? So generally speaking, we're in an uptrend that's slowing down because we're not making new highs. All of that is fact, right? So generally speaking, if that's the case, I want to buy, right? But let's look at, again, remember the tick list, that's trend. Now let's look at support and resistance, right? We are at a resistance level through here and up here, right? There's resistance here, 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 and through here. Again, fact, because all of these candles, all of these wicks keep bouncing back below that level. Another fact, right? We are at resistance, right? Do you want to buy into resistance? No. Another fact for you is that candle is bearish. Fact. Yeah, it's fact. Dear. Mike Dorrit, he touched up Mr. Blobby. See, he probably did. He's an awful man, Noel Edmonds. I don't know the man. It's just his face. Just can't help it. I'll tell you another one is Neil Robertson, the Australian snooker player. His face. Honestly, I don't know what it is, guys. Noel Edmonds and Neil Robertson, check them out, look at their faces, and tell me, you know, we're going to do a poll. Yes, their faces annoy me, or no, they don't, Tom. You have a problem. Okay? Please let me know in the free Discord. Right, so fact, right? So if we look at the facts, we're in an uptrend. Tick, we want to buy, right? Number two, we're at resistance. We don't want to buy. Number three, we have a very bearish candle. We don't want to buy, right? Number four, value, not really much value in buying here, right, you're immediately into resistance. There's nowhere for it to go. So this trade, in terms of a buy trade, has 1 out of 4. Do I want to buy that? So the answer is stay out of the market, right? If anything, I would sell that market, okay? But stay out is the price action factual answer, right? Now, we're going to do the same with the day chart, guys, right? So again, if we all look at the day chart, guys, please give me the same answer. Would you buy the day chart, sell, or stay out? I'm going to look at the Noel Edmonds comments and Mr. Blobby comments. I can basically tell if you're from the UK if you understand Noel Edmonds and Mr. Blobby. If you're not from the UK, you're not missing much. It was a very weird thing. Okay. Deal or no deal? Yeah, that's another one that, wow, while you give me your answers, guys, deal or no deal? Have you ever watched that, guys? You know where they got 15 boxes, right? And they have to pick a box, you know, and basically they've got from 1p all the way up to £100,000, right? And you can win £100,000 if that is the last box standing. And Noel Edmonds used to come in saying, you know, oh, have you got a feeling about the box? You know, is it your lucky number? What a load of bollocks for a TV show. I really wanted to go on there, and all I wanted to do was just get on there with Noel Edmonds and just go, he'll go, right, Tom, what box are you going to go for? You know, what are you feeling? I'm going to go number 1. And then he comes to me again. He says, right, Tom, you've gone for the first one. I understand it. What box are you going for next? I'm going to say number 2. You've guessed it, guys. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, all the way up to box number 15. And hopefully that has the 100K in it, and I make a complete mockery of his show. I've thought about that long and hard. That's how much his face annoys me. Right, Dre Bliss would buy. Brett would stay out. PJ would stay out. Aussie Trev would stay out. Okay, so we've got a couple of stays out and a buy. Anyone else, guys, getting involved? Or have I lost everyone with the Noel Edmonds and Mr. Blobby chat? Probably lost a few viewers to speaking about that. Okay, so again, guys, right? Majority of people are stay out. You're correct, right? We are, again, number 1, trend. We're in an uptrend. Okay, so number 1 tells us we want to buy, right? Number 2, support and resistance, right? Do we have a buy trade? No, we are at resistance. There's no room, right? Candlesticks. Do you want to buy that candlestick? Number 4, is there any value? None. We know there's sellers there. There is literally no room, right? And again, that is not opinion, right? That's looking at the chart and that's fact. So again, no trade. So EuroCAD, guys, is basically a no trade for those reasons, right? Keep it that simple. Don't overcomplicate it. And also, guys, if I could please ask everyone to subscribe to the channel, smash the notification button, and please smash the like button. Also, guys, please don't forget to join our free Discord channel. Come join our trading community. We'll also give you 50% off of our trading course when you do. All you need to do is click on that QR code, the wonders of modern technology. Also, guys, please don't forget to check out the website, www.simply-forex.com, for all of our premium trading education. Guys, there were some good questions in here. Not about Mr. Blobby, but there were some good questions. Okay, I'll let guys hold on to your questions. Come join us for the live stream again on Tuesday. Remember, we do these Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 8 a.m. New York Eastern Time, just before the New York market wakes up. So come join us, guys, every time. Get your questions over to us. we can have a bit of fun and talk about Noel Edmonds as well. All right, guys, have a great trading rest of the week, and I'll see you again soon.